Hi, today we've got Ian Levine from RO Innovations. Ian, thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate it very much.
No, thanks for having me today.
My pleasure. So tell me a little bit about your personal role and what the company is really all about.
So I'm Chief Sales Officer of RO Innovation. I've been with the company a little under a year now. I came out of some very large sales roles, running sales operations and strategy over at Iron Mountain and a few other Fortune 1000 companies. Okay. And today it's all about, like most companies, new logos, upsell, cross-sell.
Okay, cool. So talk to me what a perfect client looks like for you folks. I mean, in terms of spend, in terms of needs, what are the most common needs that people come to you for, and what do budgets have to look like for them to be a great fit for you?
Yeah, so our average sales about $35,000 a year, but we clearly have major six-figure contracts with companies, and we have smaller ones as well. Our offering appeals most to larger mid-market or enterprise class companies. Those are kind of the people that tend to come to RO Innovation. And then lastly, you have to have a passion for, the importance of peers and peer reviews in your decision, references in your decision. You have to really believe that that's a driver to revenue growth.
Okay. And a case study maybe in terms of, a common need that people connect with you for?
Well, usually what happens is companies start off with a little spreadsheet of references, and references start back pocket for in salespeople, and they just kind of hoard them. And then eventually that breaks around 50 sales reps or more, and they need a system. And we are the de facto answer for that, and we've built a lot of other added value features around it.
Okay. Are you able to talk about a particular company that's actually making use of your company services in terms of the value that they've driven from the engagement so far?
Yeah, so there's different engagement metrics that we use. We have, first of all, 9 of the 10 largest software companies in the world use our software, which is pretty remarkable given we're, kind of a bootstrap, non-VC, SaaS business. Yep. We have many companies reporting tens of $1 million of revenue influenced. And what I mean by revenue influenced is you can't take full credit for a sale, but when you can, demonstrate that a reference was used at closing, and the reference, there's a surveying loop in our system, and the reference was viewed as valuable, then you sit there and say, well, I helped influence that revenue. So we have companies literally tens of $1 million in revenue influenced on an annual basis using our system.
Okay. And do you have other companies that are also playing in this particular space out there?
So RO Innovation bought the second largest company that was called Boulder Logic about a year and a half ago. So it really is the market leader. There are some apps out there that do this sort of thing. There are other companies that have reference modules inside their system. It's sort of like with the thousands of sales and marketing technology companies out there, if you to draw the concentric circles, everybody's overlapping. So some of the advocacy software out there has some what I would call ultralight reference modules in it. If you actually did a side-by-side, it really is enterprise industrial strength versus something just beyond a thing. And there are some apps out there on a Salesforce Exchange, et cetera.
Got it. Okay, very cool. Now, if someone's interested in your services, what is the actual needs analysis process that you folks go through?
So we have an ROI calculator right on our website that we encourage people to use. Yep. I mean, in the end, it's really, the companies know it. They're experiencing a pain point already. I mean, there's either the process is broken. Salespeople are spending too much time sending emails around looking for references that can't match the right references that are required to close the business. So companies almost know they need the system. Okay. Then it sort of gets into what added value features do you want to put in and how far do you want to go? Because our system connects to literally dozens of other systems that are out there, and how much data exchanging and information exchanging do you want? And that's where it becomes a very configurable, how deep do you want to go?
Got it. And when you said your fee structure starts at about 35 grand on an annual basis, is the pricing model based on the number of sales reps then, or how do you define that?
So we have 4 different modules that we do. It's all a seat-based system, and it really depends on which of the 4 modules you buy and then how many seats. I'm quoting, 35,000 is sort of, our mid-tier module with a few hundred users. That's kind of our average sale.
Got it. And if one of the things you mentioned in the early part of the interview, you mentioned, hey, we're focused more around mid-market to enterprise. And I want to know how it is that you define that, in terms of revenue. How do you define a mid-market, and how do you define an enterprise in terms of revenue? then on top of that, do you see more value in terms of an ROI at the enterprise level than even at the mid-market level?
So yeah, it's an interesting definition. Earlier in the interview, I mentioned 50 sales reps. So that's really sort of the line where if you don't have more than 50 sales reps, we usually say to people, you probably don't need our service. So then when you get up into the hundreds of sales reps, you definitely have a need for our service. And if you get into the thousands, it's like you are, the sweet spot for the need. In addition, channels and indirect selling becomes a big thing because they need to get access to information. And so one of the things that our system does is we're not just references. References to us are dynamic live content, but we also do all the other content that a marketing organization may be providing to sales. We take care of the management of all that through our application. So it is broader. So I don't know that I can put a revenue number on it. I would say the majority of our clients are over $100 million in revenue, though.
Got it. You're looking at the number of seats, essentially, and in terms of the number of sales reps that they have. And do you see any type of correlation in terms of ROI at the mid-market and enterprise level, or do you see more value at the mid-market level or enterprise, or are they pretty much the same in terms of an ROI?
I actually think it's more a matter of how mature their reference program is and how much they're embracing peer-to-peer selling. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of things that go into the peer-to-peer selling, including review sites and other things. And we see our clients sort of in two buckets. Those that have been working at this for 5 or 10 years, have somebody dedicated, have executive sponsorship, and they really got their program at a really high level, high ROI, and they're using different KPIs than the people that are just trying to get one started. Because when you're getting started, it's a lot of grunt work. I mean, you've got to get the customers into the system, you've got to understand what they're willing to do, and then you've actually got to see how effective they are within the system. So when they give, you may have a name logo that you always want to use as a reference, but what you may find out, that name logo is always showing up late to the reference and only saying, geez, Jeeves Company is only, is good. I was a coin flip at the end if I were going to select them or not. Versus, the lesser known company may say, Jeeves Company is the best company I've ever done business with.
Right. Now, you've got customers, obviously, because of the history involved. What are you seeing in terms of the biggest demand from your customer base today? And what do you plan on doing in terms of mitigating that request or solving that request? So what is the common theme you're hearing from your customer base in terms of?
Well, yeah, it's a great question. I mean, the common theme is everybody's overwhelmed by the marketing and sales tech stacks. And, we're kind of part of that stack. We're one of the thousands that are out there. And so they want more from us. They want to know that we can actually replace other systems that are doing, which forces us to go in a variety of sort of development avenues, which is challenging as a smaller company. You want to stay true to your knitting. You want to make sure that you deliver the highest value for the niche that you've set out for. But our customers are definitely dragging us further and further into deep content and advanced content relevancy engines and things like that. So it's exciting, but it's challenging as a smaller organization.
Got it. So based on all the feedback that you're receiving and being pulled in different directions to some extent, what are the top 2 or 3 priorities that you feel that you're going to implement within your product set over the next 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, so one of the things, so we bought Boulder Logic, and one of the things we learned after we put the application side by side, because it was the largest, RO was the largest and fastest growing, and Boulder Logic was around the longest and was the second largest, and really both had serious name customers. Mm-hmm. And when we put the application side by side, it was like, oh my God, RO Innovation was created for the end sales rep. And the Boulder Logic was actually built for reference managers and people in the marketing department. And so we've spent the last year trying to do a feature-by-feature comparison and trying to build the Uber platform, which we've been slowly adding modules, and we're going to get that completed in the next 6 months. So that's really what our first major development. It's not to say that we don't have those 9 biggest software companies in the world telling us we need this, we need this, we need this, but that is our number one charge.
Very cool. Well, I certainly learned a lot. Anything else that you'd like to go ahead and mention to our visitor base? I mean, we certainly drive people who are looking to make purchasing decisions. So if there's anything I haven't covered in terms of general questions that you generally get from potential customers, this might be a great time to just bring that up.
Yeah, it's just that some people say, are you a sales enablement company? Are you a customer reference management company? Are you a customer success company? Are you a customer advocacy company? Where do you fit?
That's a good.
And the answer is we actually sit in between all of that. And we can act as a sales enablement. We can act as a customer advocacy thing. But in the end, if you were to actually look at how we're architected, we sit in between all those systems and make them talk to each other in an added value way. Plus, we're just our own little database in the middle with rights management and workflow. So I guess that would be the final words for you.
Very cool. Well, Ian, I thank you very much for your time today. I've certainly learned a lot, and I encourage our visitors to check you guys out. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Steve. Appreciate the time.
Sure.